Hello everyone and welcome to episode 4 of Onca Wildlife Centre. In today's episode there has been a big investment, but I will tell you about that in a minute, and I will be building for our short mini Madagascar area. But let's dive into the story. Newt Austin, our head researcher at Onca Wildlife Centre, has received the investment deal and has accepted the proposal. Ashlynn is very excited to start working with the new investor. His name is Mr. Thompson. They haven't yet met each other, but he is arriving in the next habitat, which will feature one of the new animals from the new pack that's coming out. I will talk about that a little bit later. Luckily for Ashlynn, due to her expertise in zookeeping, she's found that she sort of recognises the surname Mr. Thompson. Not sure where, when, but she seems to have read it somewhere in one of her researches back at the Oxford University. Ashlynn quickly looks through her notes and finds out that Mr. Thompson seemed to invest into one of her favourite zoos of all time, that being Wildwood Zoo, and he invested in the newest area, Tiger Trek. So, of course, Ashlynn quickly hurries up and does a video call. You will find about that next episode. Away from the story now, I'm just going to introduce you to our two new residents at Onca Wildlife Centre. These are our two Fossas, and our male is named Harry and our female is named Andre. They are two new residents. They are not saved from any sort of wildlife disasters, not anything like that, but they are merely just sendovers from another facility that had offspring and they have become plentiful. So do expect some offspring, as they are from two different centres, so we don't know when, but they have been seen trying to mate recently. Due to them being quite new to the centre, there hasn't been too much observations done. Our keeper who looks after them hasn't noticed too much difference between them. They act almost like twins, they do the same thing, so it's very difficult to tell the difference between them, which is why I might start adding pictures of the animals, so you can kind of tell the difference between them, and that might be better when we reach the jaguars, which I will definitely be making a very good habitat for them guys, as I will be adding black jaguars to them too. I don't think I could do this video without talking about the recent announcement, that being the Zookeeper Animal Pack. Although it's not really an animal pack, it's like a collection pack between animals and items, but about that, they have very good animals in it, luckily. Sadly no secretary bird or tree kangaroo, but because of the discovery that in the Planco dictionary that there was some Goodfellows secretary, and I think there might be one thing else that I'm not thinking of, but them two were in there, and I sure do hope that they add them in the future and that this isn't the last pack. I do have a suspicion that they will do not like a big pack, but just a normal 5 animal pack, and then that will be it. I don't think they're going to be doing anything more than that, but I do think there is another one they're going to release. But as I said before, I am going to be building a habitat for some of the new ones. Of course, that one being the spectacled bear, which is the animal I probably most want in this pack. I miss the spectacled bear not being in the game, I think. I actually believe that this animal should have been in the game rather than the moon bear we've got, which is the Formosan black bear. I really do think the spectacled bear would be better off, so I'm really glad we've got that guy in the game. I hope he has new animations, but they're a bear species, so most likely not. But that guy will definitely be adding to the zoo, and maybe I might do it somewhere else more recently and build around that habitat, as I really want to build one for him. And of course, underneath the Madagascar dome, I will be building for the Sifaka, which is, I forgot what species it is, it's like corals one, I think it is. So I do very much hope that it has plentiful of space in there, because the dome is very small. It didn't turn out as big as I hoped it would. I planned this for quite a bit, I think I was having 2 domes in the zoo, so do expect a future one. I don't know what's going to be in the future one yet, but maybe I might do a. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do, but I might think of an idea in the future. Yeah, I'm a bit upset because I really wanted to do like an Indonesian section with a tree kangaroo. I really did think that in the zookeepers pack they would have the tree kangaroo. It's such a beloved animal in that world, and it's probably one of the most asked for animals alongside the secretary bird. So I'm very surprised they didn't add either of those. And added animals like the markhor, which I love, but I feel like, I don't know, it's not needed necessarily. I feel like it was a bit of just a gap filler for reskin ibex. I'm not too sure, but yeah. Also, I had a comment on a recent video about someone asking how I do my habitats. I'm thinking of doing a tutorial on how I personally would customize my habitats and help you guys on how to kind of improve, especially with console edition, with them packs being added out. I think it's quite important people want to build the best for their animals, and of course PC players also, some of them just aren't necessarily there with what items to use, plants that are good and stuff like that. So it's good to kind of tell people a couple of things that I've learned over I think I've only played this game for like 2 years now, so over the time I've been playing this game, I haven't just played it for 2 years though, I've had the game for a long time. It's just that I've proper been playing for about 2 years now. Also, one of the key things I wanted to put in this area was like a lookout around a baobab tree. Baobab tree. That's such a confusing word for me. But that tree, I think, yeah, I think it was Chester Zoo I went to. They've got their own Madagascar section there, and this is what inspired me to do this, because I know they've got Foosas and Sifakas on the outside, and in between the area is like a gap filler. They have like this faux baobab tree, and I loved it so much. I thought it was so cool that they had this. And when I've been to Disney Orlando, they also had a baobab tree on the Kilimanjaro safari ride, and since then I've always wanted to build my own little mini Madagascar area. Now you can do a full one, but this one doesn't have any lemurs necessarily. Maybe I might do an outdoors area with lemurs, but I'm not too sure yet. But I really wanted to do this area. I think having under a dome was really important to me. And another area in Madagascar which I think is super cool is the Tsingy Mountains, which is visible in several regions of Madagascar. But they're basically made from like fossilized shell formations, but they have this really unique curved spike shape, and there is nothing in the game that resembles that shape. You probably could be a little bit innovative, but I wasn't at the time, so I spent, this is why the video took so long to make, by the way. I spent around 2.5 hours just trying to figure out ways to do this, because obviously there's 2 different colours. You've got like a brownish tingy, like basically the tropical rock, that sort of grey brown colour, and then you've also got another one which is like a savannah rock sort of look, with that orange and the yellow sort of tone to it. And I'm pretty sure it's called the red Tsingy, and the other one's called the Ankarana Tsingy or something like that. But they both look really cool, and I'm thinking of adding there's plants on top of them which I didn't know of before. So in the next episode, if you notice like plants at the top of them or anything like that, it's because I've added them there. It's a bit difficult because in Madagascar, I think it's like over 70% of species is completely epidemic, so no other species is like it, and that means in the game there's no other species from Madagascar except the baobab tree, I'm pretty sure. So as I'm adding it in, I'm trying to make new plants as well. So I've added like a palm tree that I've made up. I've sunken some different things in the ground to kind of just make it feel different colours, because the game is very monotone, the fact that everything is that sort of just dark or light green colour. So I wanted it to be very important that this looks different when you go in there than the tropical on the outside. when you build a dome like this, you want to kind of make sure that it looks different, completely different to what it is. It's quite important that you do that. Moving on to some Fossa Facts. It doesn't matter how you pronounce it, it's just up to you really. So the Fossa grows to a length of about 1.5 meters, which is about 5 foot. That obviously being from tail to nose. It's quite long, but it's very, very solitary. It really spends its time on the trees, but it is also found near water sources as well. So they don't necessarily swim, but they are found near water sources, surprisingly. But they do kind of just go on the trees, on the ground, and they're really mobile, so they go everywhere. They don't really stick to a certain area, so very, very agile. They're a mid-sized carnivore, so they're like a big cat and a mongoose, but they're not technically a mongoose or a big cat. They're kind of in their own sort of family, related to mongoose. But it's a bit complicated. They're a bit like weasels in that fact. But they're Madagascar's largest predator, and it's really the only animal that really eats lemurs, but it's the only one that's actually been known to successfully hunt the largest lemur, which I can't remember its name now, but I'll look up that later. But the females give birth to an annual litter of 2 to 4 young, and after 3 years they fully grow up. As I said, our two Fossa here are quite young. They've kind of just reached adulthood, both of them, and they are in their range where they're ready to start mating. So we're hoping to get some offspring here at the reserve. The Fossa also has retractable sharp claws, which it uses for hunting, but they also use it to hang onto trees too. That's all the facts I have for the Fossa. They're quite unique in the fact that they're only found in Madagascar, and that's quite the interesting thing about that country, is that it's been separated from the mainland for about 88 million years, so it's been alone all by itself for so long. And realistically, the only threat to these is humans and climate change. Humans obviously being the biggest threat because they hunt, because they think they will kill their livestock, which is mostly false. But 90% of the range of the Fossa has sadly been disappeared off the face of the earth due to things like farming, growth of cities and stuff like that. And they're mainly found near rocky areas, grasslands and forests, so do expect them in those areas, which is why I've kind of gone for this grasslands feel, but then I've also got the raised climbing to feel like it's a canopy, but I didn't want to put trees in there because I didn't want them escaping, so it's like a controlled tree, if that makes sense. Finding inspiration for this habitat was actually quite difficult to find. Obviously I could look up Tsingy Mountains and kind of find that landscape, but building for them was immensely difficult and it took me so long, which is why you probably saw a big cut at the start, where I started with just a dome, and then straight after that I had pathways and half mountains, just because it took me so long to figure the layout. The video would be way too long if I had me just faffing about doing nothing, so it was quite important for me to kind of speed up this video as well, just to make sure you're not here for ages watching me kind of just sit still thinking about where to place the mountain. But luckily for me, Madagascar is got lots of foliage, all of it mostly being unique to the island, and most likely the lemur side, which is going to have the sifaka, that one is going to be definitely more overgrown, and I want it to have, I don't know what the animations are like, but I almost want it to have that space on the ground, but I also really want it to do like the tree hugging animation. I don't know if you have seen it. I'll talk about it in next video where I kind of explain it, but they kind of like tree hug to keep themselves cool. I can't remember it exactly, but it's like certain trees have like this cooling property and they hug them because it's so hot outside, and that's mainly because of global warming. Like the forest burning, wildfires spreading, the heat killing off all like the undergrowth, and that's why it looks so yellow most days, because it's just so dry, and that's why the baobab trees do so well, because they just store all that water, so it's very important for the species as a whole. But anyway, thank you guys for watching today's video. Please leave a like and subscribe to this channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. If you would like to have any future recommendations for videos, be sure to leave a comment down below and I will reply to you to see whether it's viable or not. As I said, this zoo is very open. If anyone wants to recommend an animal to put in the zoo, obviously try and make it realistic. I'm not going to put an elephant in the zoo, let's be honest, so make sure it's realistic, and yeah, I will see you on the next one. See you, bye!